Welcome to UniqueCreatives ChCh. 48 projects, 20 minutes, 6 questions, 1 city. A special interview series documenting the range and quality of creative projects taking place in post-quake Christchurch.
I'm Maureen Rout for the UniqueCreatives project, and I'm talking with Adam Hayward from Dance and Performance. Adam, tell me about the project.
So really, Dance and Performance is kind of the organisational representation of the Dance and Physical Theatre Trust, who are responsible for a number of projects. People will know us mainly for the Body Festival, which is an annual dance festival, but we also run a low decile primary school project called Dancing Like the Stars, a high school mentoring project called Dance Ambassadors. We recently launched a workplace dance challenge called Do a Little Dance. We have an online network called South Island Dance Network. We're heavily involved in lobbying for a movement centre to be built as part of the rebuild. And so really Dance Performance is really a project that's about advocating for that art form in all aspects. We have a little tagline of zero barrier to participation. So the idea is to make everything we do as accessible at all times. And dance is such a broad term that I think that it's it really encompasses a huge amount. And in the 15 years now that we've been going, we've sort of grown quite steadily as an organisation.
So let's tease out some of those.
Yeah, sure.
Some of those parts. First of all, the Body Festival. That's an annual festival, isn't it?
Yeah. So that was started in 2002. Marlene Lecren, who was the arts officer at the City Council, approached me and said, "I'd like a dance festival. Here's some money." Back in the days when you could do that. And we started that festival. From the outset, the point of the festival was participation as important as presentation. So the first festival had about 1,500 people take part. We now average between 25 and 30,000 people per festival, with close to half being active participants. It's arguably one of the largest dance festivals in the world per capita. We just say the per capita bit quite quietly. We present everything ranging from launching festivals with roller discos on New Brighton Pier, or synchronised dance routines in Cathedral Square to Bon Jovi music, or we've had the Royal New Zealand Ballet, we've had amazing international contemporary choreographers, film, installation, exhibition, and then a whole huge workshop programme. So Have a Go workshops, which we currently partner with the Red Cross through their earthquake recovery programme to deliver those workshops into areas that we feel need a little bit of a pickup, and to events like speed dancing, which is something we started a few years ago, where you get to give a whole range of dance styles a go in a very short period of time. So it's like speed dating, but with dance. So really just that festival's grown from strength to strength, and it's now a really important event on the annual calendar in Christchurch.
And some of the other ones, the workplace one and the schools projects? Yeah,
so Dancing Like the Stars was, again, City Council approached me in 2007 and had seen there's an American film documentary called Mad Hot Ballroom, which looks at professional ballroom dancers going into low socioeconomic high schools in the US and teaching the kids ballroom dance. So I got asked to put a primary school version together, so we called it Dancing Like the Stars, and that started in 2007 in 4 schools out in Hornby. It's currently in 17 schools this year, 17 in Christchurch and 4 in Dunedin. It's partner dancing, and it not only has a physical and health benefit, but it also has a huge social skill development side of it. There's no urban dance, so no break dancing, no hip hop. So the kids learn a dance routine in things like tango, ballroom, jazz, contemporary, swing, sarok, samba, salsa, and then we bring them all together to perform for each other. And their performance is this year at the Theatre Royal. So you have families and carers and children from decile 1 to 4 schools having the opportunity to attend a show in that theatre, which also includes their children performing on the stage. So it ticks a whole range of boxes, much broader than an arts project. It ticks health, it ticks interaction, social development. It's huge. So that project now is we're looking at broadening that and taking that even further, taking that into other parts of New Zealand. We've interest from overseas in that project. Do a little dance. Dance ambassadors. So we have the primary, and then we looked at identifying a year 12 and a year 13 student in a number of high schools who we would bring together half a dozen times a year to kind of mentor and give them opportunities. So we piloted that last year with 7 schools. We've got 15 schools this year, and they've done masterclasses already this year with Tana Mahuta Gray, with Tiki Tana Mahuta. The Royal New Zealand Ballet, they'll do workshops with Footnote later in the year. They'll choreograph contemporary routines for Body Festival for a project called Outstanding Feet. We'll do a health and safety workshop with them. They'll get to look at a day in the life of a Hagley Dance Company. So really targeting high school students who can then become the ambassadors for dance within the school. And then workplaces, we decided to challenge employers who have a responsibility for their employees' well-being in the workplace to not just do a beer shout on a Friday or go paintballing, but actually take some time each week, move the desks, clear a space, pick a song and make a dance routine. 10 minutes. So we had 10 companies enrolled for that last year. Amazing. I mean, they're far beyond what I expected to happen. Comments like, I've never done a work-related activity that has been so enjoyable. So that we're doing that this year in conjunction with the All Right campaign. That'll be an event within the festival this year, and we'll look for 20 businesses to get involved this year. So really, those kind of 4 projects are kind of our mainstay practical projects we do.
Well, they sound really inspiring. I love the sound of it, especially getting people to actually partner each other. It's amazing. I mean, the primary school one. One of the most inspirational things for me is, looking at the progression of children in that project, where the first week they won't even hold hands with each other, and then they perform on a professional stage with no inhibition. And they'll do a horizontal hold in tango, which is quite a technical move, or they'll do a ballroom routine, which is full partner dancing, and without a blink in the mind. And like last year, 91% of the kids who did Dancing Out the Stars, so that's across 15 schools, with an average of about 25 in each school, 91% of the kids said they wanted to do it again. Remarkable. So what is it about the project that inspires you, Adam?
It's probably everything I've described. Probably you can get from the sense of the excitement, the way I talk about it. We're catering. We're needs driven. We're driven by our community. We're driven by the people, wanting these projects, participating. I'm constantly driven by the ability in this city for us to come up with new ideas and for them to get traction, which I believe I would find very difficult to do anywhere else in New Zealand and anywhere else in the world. I think there's an openness and a receptiveness here, pre and post Quake. I think that one of the things that inspires me at the moment is the way our creative minds are thinking way more creatively about their use of space, and the ideas don't start from that standpoint. They don't start from a where will I perform or where will I present. They start from a what do I want to do. And I think that's far more conducive to interesting creativity than maybe we had when we still had theatres.
So how would you like to see it evolve?
For us the big thing is purpose-built space. Having said that,
yes,
not contradicting, because I think the interesting challenge is how we maintain the role of the transitional and the ephemeral within the permanent, and how we continue to capture the creativity that our artists are showing and our dancers are showing with how they approach work when we have a performing arts precinct, or we have, in our case, we have a purpose-built movement centre. And that's something that we've driven since Share an Idea way back in 2012 to include a purpose-built space for dance, physical theatre and circus within the rebuild. And it's currently still in the plan. It was part of the City Council's plan. It was part of Sarah's blueprint, 100-day blueprint. But as part of the Metro sports facility, purposefully, Because we regard dance not only as an art form but actually as a form of recreation, and Sport New Zealand recognise it at that level. So we hit it from both the arts and the sports field, and actually we're interested in growing participation across forms. So, I think of when move. I'm saying when because I still believe it will happen. But when the movement centre is built, mum doesn't just have to sit by the pool and read a book. She can go and do a salsa class while the kids are learning to swim, or dad can still go to the gym, or mum can still go to the gym, and their kids can do a hip hop class. So we begin to look at really explicitly, and that project is unique. Definitely in New Zealand, arguably in the world, in that there are very few, if any, examples of a purpose-built art space within a purpose-built sports facility. So co-location, but still with maintaining of identity. So for me, the evolution comes from us continuing to do what we do, continuing to grow our projects. Last year, probably 62,000 people across our activities. Continue to grow that, and everybody dances. Everybody will dance and can dance. So we'll just continue to find ways to capture those people.
So what's your earliest memory of being connected to this form?
So I've been on stage since I was 5 years old. So when I was 5, at Blackpool Winter Gardens, I appeared in the Chocolate Tin Soldier in the Nutcracker Suite, and vividly remembered not the dancing but my costume being a red felt suit and a red felt top hat that was covered in squared cut glass. So for argument's sake, I was a disco ball at the age of 5 in the Nutcracker. And I think, that's my earliest memory, and I've not really known anything else.
So where did that take you?
I did 7 years at dance school growing up, and then did musical theatre. So started in Annie Get Your Gun when I was 7, played Little Jake, then did Oliver, South Pacific, Carousel, went through high school, began training as a primary school teacher, but then ditched that and trained as an actor. Then did a master's, then worked for a company in Wales called Centre for Performance Research, who really planted the notion of blue sky thinking in small locations and the ability to do things. They were based in Wales, in Cardiff, then in Aberystwyth, and brought art forms that had rarely been seen in the UK to the UK, but to Wales first. So in '86 they bought a whole Peking opera troupe. The artistic director said it was 120 people, and bought a whole Peking opera troupe, and then finished that project at the Sadler's Wells in London, which paid for the tour, but had brought it to Wales first. And also packaging, so it wasn't just bringing shows, it was bringing, and again, part of the Body Festival, if I go back, is you don't just get to see ballet. If you want to try ballet, you can try as well. So that idea that you don't just, it's not a passive relationship with the art form, the possibilities there for an active engagement. So, I've really not really known anything else really. I moved to New Zealand to originally work with a theatre collective called The Clinic back in 2001, and directed a couple of shows with them, performed in a couple, and then sort of became pigeonholed as an arts manager, director, but still have a creative. I recently began to tread the boards. I did Top Dogs, Summer Shakespeare, I did the Scottish play and played Banquo, which was great fun. So realising that I've still got a creative bone in my body, practically as well as behind the scenes. So.
I'm picking you dance as well.
No, when nobody's watching.
That's most of us, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. What do you think the arts and creativity are bringing to Christchurch at the moment? Because you've mentioned before that, the use of space with the lack of real venues has been one thing.
I think for me, the one thing I've always loved about Christchurch is that the traditional and the contemporary butt up against each other, but actually it's quite a malleable relationship. There's quite a lot of give and take, and actually what I'm loving now is the bottom up driven notion of collaboration. And I think arts organisations that were disparate and siloed pre-Quake, I think there's a lot more receptivity and openness to collaboration and working together. which has been needs driven, but I think if you remove the natural disaster, the need's still there. It's just that we've had that impetus. So I think of what Arts Voice has done. I think of what the Christchurch Arts Audience Development Project is doing. I think of initiatives obviously like Gap Filler. I think of what Hannah's done within the Loop. I think of the way Creative New Zealand and Christchurch City Council have looked at a community arts group being developed. I think of even at a bureaucratic, at a governance level, I look at the Joint Advisory Group, which sees City Council, Creative New Zealand, Sarah, Ministry of Culture and Heritage, Canterbury Community Trust, all those organisations meeting regularly and talking regularly, and that didn't happen. And I think as well as the amazing work that has been happening at a transitional, ephemeral, new permanent level in the public sphere, I think there's a huge amount of quite groundbreaking things happening behind the scenes, which hopefully we can hold on to and capture and actually demonstrate elsewhere as a really strong, positive way of kind of working. Much broader than just the arts. I think there's a societal wealth that comes from what's been happening that is really important as well.
You've probably answered this, but you think we can sustain this, maintain this?
Well, sustain and maintain are two very different. I think the maintenance is. I think they're both possible. I think they're both very difficult, and I think they will be difficult. And I think there's still so much to be resolved in terms of what the city will look like. And I think that where this new creativity sits within what that new city looks like is still to be worked out.
Yeah, we don't want bricks and mortar to close things down.
No, and obviously, there's decisions around Town Hall, there's decisions around what the makeup of the Performing Arts Precinct or whatever it will be called will be, and a lot of those things, there's the revelation over what the Arts Centre will look like in terms of its space, revelation over what the YMCA are going to be doing, with their talk. There's the new spaces that are coming back, way Christchurch Art Gallery comes back, way Coca comes back. All of these spaces that still have huge amounts of work to do, but will be back. And I think how these new approaches slot into that is still to be worked out.
Watch this space.
Yeah,
which is a terrible cliche, but it is quite an interesting one in Christchurch at the moment.
It is.
So, if you were in my position and you had any resource or time travel or anything, who would you like to interview?
Tom Waits.
Tom Waits, yeah.
He's just my hero. I just think I think he's creatively a genius, and I'd probably just ask him how, and then get him to sing Piano Has Been Drinking. I always thought it'd be amazing to bring him here and to do. We actually proposed it to his to someone who, to his agent years ago, where we said, come to New Zealand for 3 weeks on a holiday with your wife and family and do whatever you want, no media, no hassle. And all he had to do at the end was one show at the Theatre Royal, and that would be the only show he'd do in New Zealand, and in fact Australasia, so people would come from Australia to see Tom Waits, and we could charge quite a lot of money for it, and that would pay for that. And then an after show in the back room at the Wonder Bar, where just him and an upright piano, and he just had to sing Kentucky Avenue and Piano Has Been Drinking, and then my life would be complete.
So you wouldn't actually need to ask him any questions?
I would just ask him how his mind works. I just start with that. How. I just think of all the films his performances have saved. I think of him as an actor, and broadening over. I've always had desires to see Black Rider here, which was the project he did with Wilson and Burroughs. So without hesitation, Tom Waits.
Tom Waits.
Yeah.
And did you get a response?
We got a response that it was a great idea.
Yes.
Time. Yeah. Watch this space. I think it's probably.
Well, it would be wonderful for everyone, all of us, if your desire was realised, Adam,
Yes, yeah.
everybody would benefit.
We'll see.
Thank you very much. That was Adam Hayward from Dance and Performance.
Proudly supported by the Christchurch Creative Communities Scheme NZ and Orange Studios.